welcome to the Highline Tribe. I'm really, really excited to talk to y'all today. So, she asked me what were some of the biggest obstacles that I have faced in the cannabis industry. And so, I've had the unique opportunity to experience my experiences and my challenges, and then also observe other people's challenges as they transition from the bedside into doing whatever they wanted to do. So, when I started, it was like individual consultations, like just friends, family, word of mouth, like people just being like, Ash got you, and they would just pay me some money to do it. Like that was just literally how that started. And it was literally how I designed my training course. It was based off of how I actually conducted my consultations in real time. Like my checkoff list in my head was the checkoff list that I put on those templates that if any of you have taken it have seen. So really the umbrella around what the challenge has been about around overcoming stigma. And so stigma looks a lot of different ways. I think there's even a stigma around stigma. I know this is true because when I wrote stigmatized, I asked a bunch of women, do you ever felt stigmatized? And they was like, no. But then when I asked them, have you ever been judged because of the color of your skin? The answer is yes. Have you ever been treated different because you're a woman? The answer is yes. Have you ever felt like nobody understood you or knew what you were trying to say, or you didn't feel heard, or you didn't feel worthy, or that you didn't belong in an environment? Well, guess what? Somebody in that room judged you. That's why they didn't include you. That's called stigma. And we do it with the cannabis plant as a collective consciousness. And so the simple sentence, and y'all might hear me if you talk to me one-on-one, I'll be like, why can't we get this sentence right? Cannabis is medicine. 3 words. The second you put those 3 words together, all of a sudden you are stigmatized. When I first started in the cannabis industry, the big issue was confidence. That was probably the biggest hurdle I had to overcome. Another aspect is around assumptions. Assumptions come up in like everything we do through bias and our worldview and our perspective and all those kinds of things. So the second that we call ourselves cannabis nurses, depending on your environment, you get a judgment. You must be the plug. I know you get high every day. You bringing the brownies today, right? Like those are the assumptions. And then all of a sudden, being a nurse is totally disregarded. Another issue that came up for me very, very early on, and this is one that I hear most often, is showing up on social media. I mean, first of all, you gotta be cool with your face being on the screen and seeing it. That's a whole thing, right? Then you have to actually say something. And then who likes to hear their own voice? And it's crazy because in this day and age, and I don't care what business you're talking about, businesses need a social media presence. The problem is that most of us don't have a lot of money to leverage in order to invest in said social media presence. So guess what you're leveraging? You end up leveraging you. Well, you can't leverage you if you're scared to put yourself on the camera, if you're scared to hear your own voice. If you're scared to hear your own voice, you're scared to look at yourself, why would somebody else want to look at you? But the problem is because we have so much access through this platform, social media, there are a lot of people with a wide range of perspectives who want to project out what their issues are. That's what they use that as a place to kind of give themselves some sort of fictitious personality and be able to, step all over people's toes because they can. They called it trolling back in the day. I don't know what they call it now. But if you don't know your value and you're not confident, that kind of stuff will stop you.
But most of the time when I have new patients come in, the ladies at the front desk, if they know that the person has like a health issue or if they have any real concerns, then they make sure that they send the patient to me. They just tell me like, Mo, don't take anybody else. We got this one person that you need to talk to. So, and it's mostly because they know that I'm confident in what I'm saying and I have some training behind my knowledge.
And so at the end of the day, doesn't matter what I believe, right? And similarly, when we're talking about cannabis being medicine, we all believe this here, but there's not enough of the collective consciousness that believes that with us. I forget the statistic, but there was an exact number that you have to get to before you can consider a concept, a new collective idea. Yeah, I forget. But anyway, I had that number in my head for a long time. But anyway, so even now it's gone. But even though I know that the world believes one thing. I think one of the other things that needs to be kind of highlighted or brought to the surface is the fact that the world is not always going to believe what you believe, and we have to be okay with that. When we start talking about like the spiritual aspect of it, we also have to recognize that everybody has an individualized experience. So the experience that you have when it comes to your spiritual development, the experience that you have even with your personal development, and your experience that you're going to have as you enter into this cannabis space will probably be not be something somebody else has experienced before in the past, and that is foreign. Almost everything that we have done, all of us in our lifetime, has been done because somebody laid the blueprint for us. You're creating the blueprint in real time. And so because of that, there's this unbalanced view of that where it almost feels like we have to bear the burden of responsibility, because you know the truth is that cannabis is medicine, and it feels like everybody else around you doesn't believe that. And so it almost starts to feel like you have to make sure that your point is it comes across. You start to overexert your power. You start to bear the burden of that. You start to carry that weight on your shoulders. If any of you have ever worked with me on the business side of things, one of the first questions I ask you is, what is your vision? Not just the vision for your business, but the vision for yourself. Within your vision, you should know your core values, because that's going to tell you if you're within the scope of your vision. Because the world is going to try and move you outside of your vision over and over and over again. You're going to keep running into stuff where you might want to run away from yourself, and it's going to present you your shadow. You're going to need to know that the direction you're going in is the right direction if you need to course correct. Because remember, there is no blueprint. There is no 1, 2, 3, and 4. But if you go 1 to 4, you have to know what 3 and 2 was in order for you to step backward to go in the right direction. So long story short, yeah, it's been challenging. It's been a lot of effort, a lot of work on my part. I wouldn't take a second back. I have some cool documented things. I have books out there. I've mentored quite a few nurses. I've been on guideline committees, and it's referenced through the state of Maryland. I've submitted testimony. I've met some really cool people. I've been to a ton of events. I've spoken on stages with over 200, 300 people at a time. That's really what I remember. And it's documented in history. I was the first Black person to write a children's book in the cannabis industry. If you find these conversations empowering, then you may want to join us in the Highline Tribe. We are a community of nurses and healers who are seeking alignment. Try the tribe today for a step towards a transformative journey towards wellness and knowledge. See you on the inside.